Hey guys, this is a video I thought I would do to help people thinking about building a home here in the Philippines. I have like 50 years in construction and concrete and um, everything from quality control products and stuff like that. So I thought I would go over some of the products here in the Philippines available and what I thought of them. I'm probably not going to mention everyone and not every manufacturer, and I'm not 100% on every little fact. So if somebody from the company or something comes and says something, I'm just trying to do the best I can to help everybody understand more about the products so they can make their best choice for them. And now, let me see if I can get to one of the. Now, this is the hollow blocks you're going to see here in the Philippines. That's kind of what they use. There's many different products. I will these hollow blocks, from my experience with the homes that we have, this home that we have and the home we built for my mother-in-law, using these hollow blocks, there's a lot of issues. You're going to have a lot of issues. If you really know what you're doing and you go out and buy some good blocks, or you order some, or the best thing you could do is they actually make machines that you can do them by hand, but these are, I think, around $700 to $1,000. You can pump them out pretty quick. See, there's a form, you can make 3 of them at a time. There's a plate that you step on and they pop up out of there after you've skimmed them off in there and filled it up, and they vibrate. It's got an engine in it and everything. So you can produce them pretty quick, and then you got to let them dry for a while. Now, that would be the way to do it. And if you use the right mix, it's mostly sand and pea gravel and cement. I think in America they use like somewhere around 22 bricks per 40 kilo bag, and here they do it with like 50 or more. Usually, not everybody. I'm not gonna say they do. So it's possible to make them yourself, and if you're gonna do it, I'd use at least 6-inch, because these hollow blocks are made so that when you stack them up, you can fill in those holes, and they're gonna make will be like a column. If you stagger them, one would be over here, one would be over there, but there would still be, each column would be a full column of concrete. Now, the hollow blocks here are non-structural. And what they mean by non-structural means you cannot have a structural load on them. You have to have a columns, beams, floors. You can do a first and second floor, but you have to have it supported by the columns and the beams and the floor, and then you can stack the blocks on top of that, but you're not using that structurally to hold up the next floor. It's not to hold up a structure. Now, there are some that you can. These here these here are smart blocks. These are, I think you can get different ones for like 550 to significantly higher than 1,000 psi, and they're very strong. And you can stack them. They don't have to be staggered. In fact, I've seen everybody that's used them, they don't stagger them, because what you do with these is you line them up together, and there's a plastic pin that goes in here that holds them aligned while you're pouring the concrete, and then you fill it up, and the concrete goes between the smart blocks. So these are structural. If you were making a one-story home, you could use these, and I don't think you need columns. So you can actually use them to structurally hold up part of the building. And these are called smart blocks. And they're pretty good. They're a bit more expensive than regular blocks. I think regular hollow blocks are about 9 to 20 pesos each, depending on what you're getting, you know. And see, those are smart blocks there. They're all stacked up. On here they stack them all in rows, and the rebars go down through a certain groove there, but you could put them in any, you could stagger them if you wanted to. Everybody I get tells me you need to stagger, but those are staggering is mortar and blocks. When you use mortar to put them together, and then you pour concrete into them, then you want to stagger so the mortar doesn't crack, you know. But okay, this one right here, this is a EPS panel. It's like they do these different ways. Light panel, EPS panel. It's like plastic or fiber boards on the outside, and they have foam in there. So quite often it's a mixture of foam and concrete to give it strength, or it can be like light panels, which are the cement board, rock sheet, and then they have an aerated concrete in the middle, which usually is about 500 or a little bit more in PSI strength. Now I was going to use the light panels. Let me see if I have a this is a light block here, so this is the same material as the light panel, but these are smaller and they only have a small hole. The reason I'm not particularly big on this is they don't have a big enough hole to really put a good amount of concrete or grout in there. So, and you can put a rebar in there, and then they are epoxy mortared in, and these are called light blocks, and they also make the same material inside of a light panel, which are 2 foot by 8 foot, and I was going to use those, but then I heard something about you had to buy a certain amount, which was more than I was going to need, so I ended up not doing it. And this is what I used in my home. This is concrete form blocks. Now, I don't know why I wouldn't have called them form blocks. because it makes everybody think that they're like a regular block that you got to mortar together and stuff. These are not. These are just, I call them quick form, concrete quick form. And you stack them up. You put your rebar in there, or your deformed bar as they call it here, and have your dowels poking into the columns. You know, if you do a 1-story with this, they make it in 4, 5, 6, 8, and I think 10 inch, and they're about 150 to 200 pesos each, and it's a solid concrete wall is what it is, because these are just that you don't have to remove the forms. They will stay there, and the concrete will structurally cling to it, and it'll be one piece, and it's very quick and easy to finish. Sometimes you can just use a skim coat. The only problem with a lot of these products are a lot of the workers here are not familiar with using them. You know, they're used to the hollow blocks, so you got to see if the company can train them, or if they can show you and then you can show them. They're good workers, so as long as you kind of keep an eye on them and make sure they're doing it the right way and they're learning to do it the right way. Let me see. And then you got what's called AAC blocks, which are just a square block made out of aerated concrete, which is, I had a picture here, I don't know where it went to. It's this same material, but they're square, and you put an epoxy on there. They're aerated concrete. It has an insulating factor, so it will insulate some of the heat from coming into your house. It'll save you energy. And also it is sound dampening, so the roosters and the chickens and the karaoke and everything will sound much more muffled, which is a benefit. Now they're, like I said, they're about 500 to maybe, you might be able to find a company that makes them up to 1500 psi. They're relatively light compared to regular concrete. But I have heard that they have a tendency to shrink and crack. So stay aware of that. And you can do just use plywood, marine plywood or something like that, and do concrete forms, although that's very labor intensive. Now a lot of these, like this one, AAC, the light blocks, you're gonna have a lot less finish work. Same with the concrete form blocks that I use. Gonna maybe put a thin layer of rendering, some skim coat, and paint it. Some of them, if you like that little industrial look, you can just, especially with the AAC or something, or you make sure your guys keep it really neat and they clean it up a little bit before you don't even need to finish it. It'll look a little bit like blocks. The concrete form blocks are usually 1/3 of a meter by 1 meter long, so 3 of them makes a square meter. And they have an EPS, which is, let me see if I can find that one. See, there's a regular Filipino wall that you will see being constructed into a lot of homes and businesses here, and then they will just finish that with rendering. And this is non-structural wall. You would have to have columns, beams. It's really just to keep the rain out or criminals or something. I mean, and this is your standard 4-inch. This is what's usually used for walls, fences, you know. So I've been to places where you can just break it with your fingers. It's very weak. This would be better, 6-inch, because you could load it with up to 3,000, 4,000 PSI concrete and make it really strong, and stagger them, which means put one here, one there, side to side, and use mortar. Now here's how they do it here. They'll make the walls and they'll leave a gap for the beam. Now this is pretty standard here. This beam here, they will put boards around it and pour the concrete in there afterwards. But the stirrups are not tied to be for earthquake preparedness or anything. I mean, the gapping on them is way off. It's just some local construction people building here. You can tell. Now this right here is the light panels. This is the one I was going to use. 2x8, 2 foot by 8 foot. You really just put them in there. You spike them in with a big piece of rebar. You put epoxy down there, mortar, and you put that there, and you level it up against the wall. Start over here, get it all straight. You put another pin in over up here, and you keep putting them on epoxy, mortar, spiking them in, and it's strong. It's a pretty good system. You know, maybe if you're in a typhoon area or something, you might want to use solid concrete or something, but these are proven and pretty strong. Now here's a foam back roof panel. Now you can get stuff like this. You can put a roof panel up there with different thicknesses of foam backing on them. I've heard that they have a tendency to separate, but I've never used them myself. So there's another picture of some concrete, a concrete wall that somebody here did. It may not be a journeyman construction person or foreman, but this one's a little better. But you can see the gaps, a lot of gaps, but they will cover that with a rendering, which will be the cement and sand, and that's how they build here. Now these are the concrete form blocks that I use. This is the same company that I used right here, and those are spaced at 4 inches. They stack on top of each other. You can do 3 high, and then you have your rebar in there. Every 3 to 5 you can put another course of rebar going sideways, and have your other rebar going down and tapped into the floor and tapped into the walls on the sides. And then you pour your concrete, and you can pour whatever. Now there's not a lot of inspecting going on here or anything, so you have to do the inspecting. You have to be there And the way we did it, we bought the materials, so it's not coming out of the contractor's pocket or whoever's doing the work, because if it's coming out of their pocket, they're gonna probably try to get more money for themselves than spending more money on the products. So you might get a little bit less cement in your concrete. Here's the AAC. See, it's like, I don't know, this looks like 6, 8, 10, and 12 inch. And they epoxy glue those together. They're good product, but I heard they do shrink and crack a little bit, but I think everything does here a little bit. It's very hot. There's the guy who makes light panels, and this is light panel back here in the back. 2 foot by 8 foot. Okay, now here's another one. This is called EPS. Now you put your columns in, and you have these attached to the columns, and that's styrofoam on the center foam, and it has this cage around it. And once you get the whole building completed with all this product here, then you will shoot shotcrete on it. Now, I would be interesting to know, what kind of shotcrete they're shooting on this. You can do it yourself, really. They got machines you can buy on Lazada for pretty cheap, or Shopee or Temu, that will shoot the shotcrete on there. You could get your guys a couple of those, a small air compressor and one of those, and just keep filling it up and shooting it on there, and then they just dowel it down. There's a guy right now, I can't remember the name of his channel, but he's building a large house with this. I don't know. I haven't thought about it, but to me it just doesn't have the structural strength. I want to be able to be standing after a typhoon or something. Hopefully, I'd like to have at least a chance. I think. Now, if you get concrete and you do a concrete wall, after you're done with that, you're going to want to use this. This is called a diamond cup wheel, and you smooth down the concrete before it's rendered or skim coat. And a few guys here can do that pretty quick. Now these smart blocks, you can see right here, they're held together with these pins. You hammer them down in there, and they do have a space for the concrete to flow in between, but I don't know, it's not a huge, but they make corner pieces, and these are very strong blocks, so it's not perfect, but it's much better than hollow blocks. So anyway, you guys, if you guys got any questions, these are some of the products. I may not have covered everything. You can order a lot of stuff from China here on Temu and stuff, and there's a lot of foam panels, there's a lot of but with shipping and everything, but pretty much you guys can get just about anything here if you search enough, but it may not be close to where you're at, the island you're at. If you're on Luzon, up there where Manila is, then you probably got a good chance of getting just about any product. Cebu, you got second largest city you got a good chance of getting a lot of the products. That's where we're at, Cebu. And it's like the concrete form blocks. They've got about 5 companies over in Luzon, and I think here right now they got 1. Although I've been thinking about trying my wife. So this is your choice of products pretty much. There could be a few I missed, but I appreciate your time. If you got any questions, let me know. Please like, share, and subscribe. And thank you very much.